The following is a Orion Sportscast production. Here are your hosts Josh Egan, Brandon Waterhouse and Matthew Fairclough.
All right, so the Lightning have had the cup for, 72 hours? If that, and there's already a ginormous dent in it. So, we don't know what has happened, but this is from @BoltsJolts on Twitter. I've been informed that the Stanley Cup has been in a little incident, and then 20 minutes later, he tweeted out a picture of, it looks like Pat Maroon holding the cup with a ginormous dent in it. So, let's start with this. What do you think happened to it?
Well, I mean, they're in Florida, so kind of anything could happen. I saw a lot of their fans actually look like crackheads. Just because like, dude, it's just kind of the Florida vibe. Like they're all in shorts, and I saw it was raining, and they do their boat thing. I think they would do a boat thing regardless of just COVID. Like I think that's what they like to do.
Yeah, that's kind of their thing now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of just a Tampa thing because Brady did it too with the Lombardi Trophy. So I think they just probably threw it and it hit off a jet ski wrong, or someone dropped it, something like that.
I'm surprised it didn't end up at the bottom of the lake they were parading on.
Yeah, I think what happens there, they have a diver. Like, the guy who travels with
yeah,
it.
maybe.
Yeah, I think he will. Dude, trust. That's his only job. He'll go in.
That'd be the greatest job in the world, eh? Like your one job is to make sure the Stanley Cup doesn't sink.
Dude, I know, but think about some of the stories. Like you're with it 24/7, and I like hockey players, but God knows what they did in the 80s and 90s without phones, and you're in God knows where in Russia, in the States. That guy has some good stories for sure.
Oh, 100%. What would you do with your day with the cup?
I was telling you before, but I think I would just have a pool party because I think I know Scott Wilson, who won it in Pittsburgh, is from Oakville, and he brought it to 16 Mile Creek, which people don't know. It's a new hockey rink, but I'm just that doesn't have any meaning. Because it wasn't even built when he was playing hockey around here. You know what I mean?
I love how you say it's a new hockey rink, but it's 10 years old now, eh?
Sorry, I meant it's relatively new to
him. It's the newest one in the area.
One. Basically, I meant it's new enough to where he didn't play and they didn't have any meaning.
Yeah.
And I remember people were talking about just as kids, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I would bring it to a school. I would bring it to that." And I know some players do that. I think a hospital's good, but I think I would definitely just party. Especially a nice pool in Toronto, Lakeshore, LA, or I would want it to be a nightclub party type scene. I wouldn't go for the soft stuff. No offense to people.
I think I would the first place I would take it. Obviously, you and I will never get this opportunity unless we land an executive job. But I would take it
or an owner.
Well, big dreams, Matt. Big dreams. We're gonna buy the 33rd team in the NHL, but I would take it to, obviously my parents would get a couple hours with it, enjoy it with my fiance, soon-to-be wife, and then I think I would go maybe play a round of golf with it. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't think anybody's ever done that. And then
people have probably done that.
I think I would take it to the place I work at. That would be pretty cool just to be able to give back a little bit. And then, nighttime on, we're probably looking at a nightclub in Toronto.
Sounds good, buddy. Sounds good.
I think that's the right idea. That's a busy day, but I think I would have fun with it.
You know who's not really partying right now?
The Edmonton Oilers.
I was going to say England, but whatever.
No, we'll get to that later. Let's talk Oilers because I'm not in the mood to talk about England. All right, you know what? Let's get it out of the way. Let's talk.
No, yeah. I was going to say,
go ahead. So, I'm going to obviously be coming at this from a biased point of view, but just I just want to put a positive spin on this because obviously English soccer has, in the last, I think their last major tournament final too was 1966, which is the year my dad was born. So to see them in a final was amazing. People are saying, but it's international soccer. It doesn't mean that much. It does. If your team is good at an international soccer tournament, be it the Euros, the Copa America, CONCACAF Championship, the World Cup, you are behind your team and you are driving hard. If Canada was to make even a knockout stage, I guarantee you Canadians would be behind that team so hard. And I hope they do it because I would be behind that too. But just watching England play in the Euro Cup final, it actually made me really emotional because it was really, really cool to see that they were able to build this team up from what it was, let's say, 8 years ago. Obviously, in the last World Cup, we had that heartbreaking defeat against Croatia where we went up early and then we just weren't able to finish it in extra time. But just to watch this team and what they did in, this game, this whole tournament, Matt, what would I tell you if this year if the Leafs had gone to the playoffs and they beat the Bruins in a game 7. Like that would be amazing, right?
You know what it is? I think it's a little different in soccer, and I think so many people get behind
But
it
hang on,
because
let me finish my point because England beat Germany in a knockout game.
yeah, we know.
Never do. They beat them. That was like defeating the juggernaut. And then you go on to play, you go on to play Ukraine, you go on to play Denmark. Denmark pushed England to their limits, and they were still able to pull it off. Yes, it was a questionable penalty on Raheem Sterling, and then Harry Kane scores on a rebound on a penalty. We've talked about that. But, just in the actual final, you go up 1-0, 2 minutes in off just a beautiful goal by Shaw. And then the rest of the game, Italy kind of takes control. England had some life in the last 10 minutes of the 90 and the last 15 of extra times. And then you get to penalties, and penalties it's such a horrible way to lose. And people are saying you shouldn't do penalties in soccer. I honestly don't think that there's another way to solve it, because you're not doing replays anymore. I don't know if you knew this. They used to do replays. So if it was still tied after extra time, they would just play the game again the next day. You can't do that anymore with TV deals. Penalties is the only way to solve a game that hasn't been decided after 120 minutes. I think you would agree with me there, because the teams, they were just so evenly matched. You get to penalties, Harry Kane scores, Harry Maguire scores. And then, it's upsetting. The last 3 penalty takers miss. Jordan Pickford saves the fifth Italian penalty shot, and then it's down to Saka, and he gets stopped. The better team won. The Italian keeper was fantastic in penalties. Marcus Rashford hit a post, but that's part of it, right? So, and for all the people who are throwing like racial abuse at these players, get out of here. It's ridiculous. These guys put everything they could towards their country. Obviously, they would have liked to win as well. But if you're being racist online, if you're being hateful, then we don't want you part of the fandom.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that little monologue, Josh, that it wasn't asked for. But anyways, yeah, it's so I think soccer is so cool just from the standpoint of it's a sprint, not a marathon, So like it's kind of a hard ask for hockey fans. Watch 82 games a year, follow trades, and then do a short playoff run that doesn't even happen for most teams. Yeah. But something like this is just so cool because, like, even for people who aren't even big fans, it's international, right? Yeah. So, like, you saw Toronto shut down because the Italians were celebrating, and I saw people in England were going crazy. And I just think it's so funny that, like, you're such a big fan that you all say we. Yeah, we play. And I'm like, Josh, we're in Canada. But no, anyways, I think it's so cool just seeing soccer. But something, I don't know if you saw, but I thought it was insane. They sold out all the tickets, like, obviously, right? But did you see the people throwing the barriers down and running in, and just,
dude,
that was so funny.
I made a TikTok about that, and obviously it's not funny because
funny.
No, hang on, let me finish my point. Obviously it's not funny because like people were hurt and were robbed of their seats, but also that is like typical English soccer fan in a final at the bar since 8 a.m. because the bars open at 6 a.m. on the day of the final.
What is the point of that? Dude, are people there at 6 a.m., Josh? Like,
people would have been tailgating all day. Like, outside of Wembley, I would have loved to have been in Wembley Square. It looked absolutely amazing. I would not have been, okay, well, maybe I would have tried to get in if I'd had a couple pints.
But I don't think you would have. But just to kind of go through the day, what is a soccer game day like? Because in football, you tailgate for the NFL, but the game starts at 1. Like, you know what I mean?
It's very similar, except the game starts at 8 p.m.
But, like, what do you do from 6 a.m. to the 8 p.m.?
Drink.
Yeah, dude, Europeans, well, not even Europeans, just these soccer fans are absolutely nuts. Like, it's actually wild.
But don't you want, like, it's all
no, I love the passion, but I just think, for example,
what I'm saying. All that drives it is passion. That's what it is. And I honestly, I love hockey. Hockey is my favorite sport. I will forever say that an international tournament such as the Euro and the World Cup will always
championships,
No, like I'm just talking about soccer. Like the Euro Cup and the World Cup will always have more intensity behind it than a Stanley Cup final. And I love hockey. Like, it's my favorite sport. But the passion behind international soccer will never be matched, ever, by anything. That's including the NFL and the Olympics, because these people, like, they are out there the night before outside Wembley Stadium getting ready for the game. It's crazy, man. Like, it's never going to be matched. It's amazing. And that's for The Italians were the same. They were outside the Colosseum afterwards partying. They're still partying now. They're going to be partying until the World Cup. Like, it's crazy. It's amazing. Like, I just wish that passion could be brought into hockey, because we just haven't seen it with any team. And like, maybe it would be matched if the Leafs won a cup, but I really don't think it would be.
I hate that narrative too, because like it's different, because like, even like, say for an example, like you just said, a small country beating like a little country just in like the beginning stage, that's big for like their country, you know what I mean? But the Stanley Cup, it's literally, you only win the Stanley Cup. Like, people in Montreal should not be happy right now. They probably are, but they should not, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I feel like when more people are involved, there's little like W's that you can kind of get. But when it's something like a Stanley Cup final, the players are all come from different places. They live in a city that they probably won't live in 40 years. So you don't really have that passion. But what you get in international, like, it's insane. Like, even Nigeria beating the States basketball a few nights ago. Yeah, like, I just think you need more international. And if I'm hockey, the World Championships every year is pretty good. I know it's not big here in North America because we have the Stanley Cup playoffs, but I see people in Latvia. TSN does a really good job of covering that tournament.
Yeah.
But also, I think you need the World Cup, like that we kind of did in 2016, but not Team of Europe or not the North American, like actual Canada versus Finland.
You need the Olympics. That's what.
Yes. No, but you need the Olympics too. Like, you need more than one. You know, like, I think soccer does good because they have the Euro and they have the World Cup. Other than they have the South American thing that went on with Brazil and Colombia. I think, like, you need everything. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. You just need, you need more people involved. That's kind of it.
And they have the Gold Cup going on right now, which is for North America and the Caribbean islands. Like, that's,
yeah, exactly.
Like,
everybody.
Like, just expand your game. Like, I think we could both agree soccer/football is the most global game that everybody can enjoy. Like, you took a hard stance before saying that you hated soccer, but like,
I do hate soccer.
Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but you enjoyed the Euro Cup.
Yeah, you do. Because as a sports fan, you get wrapped up in just the passion, how much people care. Like, I was watching Simone Biles, who is a gymnast, people don't know, in USA Gymnastics. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And I was watching them qualify the Olympics because they're just so above their competition, and it was crazy. And the fans were cheering the passion at Olympics. I watched diving. So I think it's more, if you're a sports fan, you could appreciate the passion in other people's like sport, you know? So I don't think it's like a individual thing. I think it's mainly, but for an example, when I say I don't like soccer, I mean, like, if I'm watching, Portugal, England, also I'm going to love it. But if I'm watching whatever tier 2 against tier 3,
you know
you know what I mean?
Because like,
that's what I don't like.
I'll watch, like, I pretty much watched at least 20 minutes of every Euro Cup game.
Yeah.
But you won't catch me watching
like MLS or something.
Dude, don't even get me started on MLS. I'll watch MLS if TFC is good.
Okay.
But other than that, I won't, because like, I'm cheering for like my hometown team. But like, let's talk about like Premier League, which is the best league in the world. I don't care. Bundesliga, it's not you. I don't care. You know. Not you. It's the EPL. I'm not watching Liverpool Southampton. But Champions League, I'll watch fucking Tottenham versus I don't know, Tottenham versus whatever, Real Madrid. I'll watch that because that's the best of the best. You know. But international soccer, I'll watch every game, man. Like, I was watching North Macedonia versus whoever the hell they were playing, so it was fantastic. It was a really good ending to the Euro Cup, and like, I'm sure you and I could talk about the Euro Cup for ages, but
yeah, they do it right. They do soccer right.
They do it really good. People were asking me today, they're like, because for people that don't know, I was born in England, so I am British. I also have my Canadian citizenship, so I guess I'm a little bit of both. But they were asking me, like,
you have dual citizenship.
They were asking, like, are you upset? I said, I'm not upset, man, because you made it to a final of the European Championships, where people say the Euro Cup's harder to win than the World Cup because the seeding, right? Like, you have to play the best of the best. The best teams are from Europe. Yeah, you got your Brazils and Argentina, but man, you had to go through some tough teams to make the final too. And I have high hopes for this team. England have made 3 semifinals in the last 4 years. They made the World Cup final, the World Cup semifinal, the Nations semifinal, and the Euro Cup final. So there's high hopes for this team. They're a very young team. They were the second youngest team in the Euro Cup. So am I upset? Yeah, I'm sad they lost, but am I upset about the result that they got for the overall tournament? No, I have high hopes for them.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just moving on, because before we recorded the podcast earlier on the day, it broke that Duncan Keith finally got traded to the Edmonton Oilers, and the return was Caleb Jones, Seth Jones' brother, which is important. We'll get to later. So it is Duncan Keith for Caleb Jones and a third-round draft pick. Josh, what are your initial thoughts to Ken Holland really wanting Duncan? Oh, and no salary retained. That's pretty important.
I think the Edmonton Oilers are absolute idiots on this trade. I don't know why you would want Duncan. Was he 36, 37?
He's up there, yeah.
They had a really promising, I'm not going to say good, they had a really promising decor going into this. And now it's like, why did you want Duncan Keith? I mean, I've been on the Offside podcast and said that I don't think Connor McDavid is a good leader. Are you bringing Duncan Keith in to be a leader for cup experience? But your team's nowhere close to a cup. Like, maybe you got further away with this trade. And no salary retention either. Like, you're taking that full salary. I don't know, man. Like, this trade boggled my mind. I'd love to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, we don't have to get into McDavid leader thing because I think regardless of how you cut and slice it, him and Draisaitl are the only positives on that franchise right now. So it doesn't really matter if he's the best leader or if he's the worst. No, but it's fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The point more is towards you got a player in decline. You traded too much for him. And I would argue what I saw from Caleb Jones last year and what I saw from Duncan Keith this year, maybe you could go Keith here, Caleb Jones here, but you want to take the 20-year-old who would potentially maybe next year he'll be better than that. And on top of that, you gave a pick and no salary retention. I just think Ken Holland's doing – I think if you're a good GM, I don't care what your track record is, but the last spot that he left, Detroit, Yzerman's doing a 5-year rebuild right now. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think if you're a really good GM, you wouldn't sign crazy contracts. The Darren Helms, you know what I just mean? Like, I think over time, also, this guy doesn't know how to build a hockey team.
That pick isn't for this year. They don't have a third rounder this year.
Yeah, I think they're missing a second this year, a third this year, and they're missing the third next year. So I just think this is terrible asset management on the Oilers' perspective. And I did some, not research, but I looked at Cap Friendly, shout out Cap Friendly, and Connor McDavid's no move comes in after this year. I'm just kind of looking where the league's going. Maybe the Buffalo for Eichel trade takes a long time, or maybe he goes to Anaheim. If he goes to Anaheim, LA is going to want a guy. The Rangers always want a guy. Vegas wants a guy. So I just think if I'm McDavid, I give this 12 more months and I'm out of here. Like, this is not a good hockey team. And they're not even taking the right steps to become a good hockey team one day.
No. So interesting note on the whole Eichel situation. If they don't make the trade in 5 days, there's actually a trade freeze that kicks in for a week because of the expansion draft. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see.
I don't think that's a big deal.
It is for Buffalo because do you protect Eichel or do you expose him?
You're going to protect Eichel regardless.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Like, if he doesn't want to play there anymore and he's like, I don't want to play, maybe you expose him to Seattle and you get $10 million cap space for nothing.
But you get no assets.
Yeah, that was smart.
That was a really stupid take, so we'll just move on. But no,
I'm just saying. Okay, it was a stupid take, but could you see Buffalo doing that?
No.
I could.
Okay, moving on. So they did Chicago. Josh, why do you say stupid things like this? It gets me off track. That makes no, but like seriously, that actually doesn't make any sense.
I'm just going from all sides of the argument, Matt. You know me.
Okay, yeah. So, but on the other side, Chicago did trade Duncan Keith, and I would say they got not a haul, obviously, but they got a steal because they got Caleb Jones, who's a young upcoming defenseman who I think like maybe a little better than Travis Dermott, but I don't see him being that well. But the thing that potentially might come with Caleb Jones is their brother Seth.
Yeah. So
the question is, do you think Seth Jones going to Chicago now? Do you think they'll be aggressive? Do you think they'll give up Kirby Dach, Dylan Strome? What do you think is Chicago and Stan Bowman specifically thinking? Because he's had a tough few months, I would say, at least.
Well, there's obviously I think we should address there's a bunch of stuff going on with the Blackhawks right now with the sexual assault allegations.
No, just stick to the trade.
Hang on. Yeah, I know, but it'd be ignorant of us not to acknowledge those. We're not going to touch on that just because it still is an ongoing case. So we do acknowledge it. We know it's happening, but we're not going to touch on that too much because it's breaking news literally every 20 minutes with that case. So, but yeah, as a result of that trade, I don't think they're getting Seth Jones, man. I don't think he wants to go there. I think he wants to go somewhere that's going to win within the next 3 years, and that's not the Blackhawks. I don't know if you agree with me on that. But he's probably looking at like maybe And it's if they can afford him, right? It's at a place like maybe, Colorado, Vegas. He's looking at somewhere like that. Maybe Toronto. I've seen a couple links where he could end up in Toronto. I don't think that's going to happen personally, but I have seen that reported. But who knows where he's going to end up? I just don't think it's Chicago. I'd love to know what you think on that.
I think it is Chicago because I just think you look at in Columbus' perspective as
But why?
Because Chicago should be rebuilding, but they don't see it that way. And also, when you look at their cap friendly, they don't have anyone signed in the next 2 years. So 2 years from now, they have no one signed. Mm-hmm. So I think you could build your whole roster and your whole salary cap around a massive 8-year, $10 million contract to Seth Jones. So I just look at it from that perspective. And also, if you're Chicago, Taves is coming back. Yeah, Taves is coming back. Patrick Kane is still an elite player. DeBrincat bounced back this year. I think they got pieces. And to be honest with you, I think they're just going to say screw it and try to just get it going here. And I think they're going to go for Seth Jones. When you look at their team, they do have a lot of young guys on the outside looking in. Like Dylan Strome's been really inconsistent. Alexander Nylander has been inconsistent. Adam Boquist is a good player, but I think if getting Seth Jones back, you'd send him the other way. And they picked 12th overall. So I just think they have a lot of pieces that Columbus will like. And also, like I said, if you have the salary cap to sign someone to a massive extension, because Kane and Taves are coming off the books soon, and just like I said, you could build your cap situation around this player. I think it's really attractive. And also, if I'm Seth Jones, I don't want to say he's overrated, but I don't care how good. There's few players in the league it's an exception to. But this summer, and just guessing because the Olympics and all the stuff that the NHL has to climb over next summer, if you're a free agent, I don't think you're going to get the 10, 11, $12 million crazy contract. So if you're Seth Jones, you get traded to Chicago and they present to you an $80 million contract offer with no move clause, how do you say no in that situation? And they're going to build a team around you. That's pretty attractive.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I just think I don't think Chicago's in a place to win in the next 5 years. And he's
no, but John, I'm saying they have no one signed that you don't know. Because if you have cap space in this league, you can go from a bad team to a contender really quick.
So are Kane and Taves up? Because I know they signed deals.
They only have 2 years left.
So are you letting Kane and Taves go?
No, but I'm saying if I sign Jones to, like I said, $10 million per for the next 8 years, and I tell Kane and Taves, look, we have a stud defenseman, we have you two, DeBrincat's a 40-goal scorer, and our rookie goalie's playing pretty good.
Okay, so hang on here. So you have to re-sign Jones. You have to re-sign Kane.
Well, you have to extend him.
You have to extend Jones. You have to re-sign Kane. You have to re-sign Taves, and you have to re-sign DeBrincat.
Yeah.
That's $40 million.
You're not listening to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can pick everything you want. And if I am with Kane and Taves, first of all, Jonathan Taves will not make $10 million again. Patrick Kane
he's not taking a pay cut.
Yeah, he would. Dude.
No, he wouldn't. He would go to another team that would overpay him.
I don't think you're listening to what I'm saying. What I'm trying to tell you is at this standpoint of their careers, with the Jones contract coming off the books, you're buying them into the system more. So you're retooling and you're saying, okay, we're going to win a cup. Okay, Jonathan and Patrick, you guys have had matching contracts, 10.5, but will you both take 8 so we can put DeBrincat at 7? And then now we have a few extra million to play with. And like I said, even if they keep making 10, DeBrincat gets whatever he gets, and you extend Seth Jones, there's only 4 players. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm trying to say they have so many options. Yeah. They have a lot of young guys that if I'm Chicago, making a deal with like this that comes an extension is not a bad idea. I have a stud defenseman for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I guess I see your side of it. I just don't think it's you're talking perfect scenario there.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying acquire him.
You're like for future, you're talking perfect scenario for Chicago because Patrick Kane, if he let's say Chicago's not as good as they're supposed to be for the next 2 years, he's gonna want to go get one last cup. He's made his money.
Well, he's had 3 cups, so I don't right. You don't know that. You know what I'm trying to say? But if you're Chicago, I'm trying to keep him. Therefore, I'm getting Seth Jones. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so
we'll see what happens there, but that's interesting on the Seth Jones front. Obviously, we won't know till
after the draft,
after the expansion, unless the trade happens before. But I don't think it'll happen until after.
Yeah, that would be soon. Okay. Yeah. So just talking about Seattle and the expansion draft, these are important dates coming up. Jakub Voracek on the Philadelphia Flyers waived his no move clause, and I looked at Philadelphia's cap friendly situation, and they're going to lose a good player no matter what. They have JVR.
Yep.
Voracek and Nolan Patrick, who was second overall. So, Josh, just why do you think they're waiving Voracek, and just what do you think Philly goes from here? Because they've been in on Eichel, they've been on Seth Jones, and Carter Hart had a down year. So, what do you think's going on with the Philadelphia Flyers?
Voracek doesn't like Philadelphia. He's been going at the reporters there I'm sure you know this too. He's been going at the reporters there for years, just on the
Well, he doesn't like I think he's sick of the culture. I wouldn't say he hates the city because you don't know that unless you're.
He hates like the I guess the
He wants to change up of the city
I think
culture.
I think Voracek that could be interesting. I mean maybe Seattle takes JVR, but I don't think so.
He had a really good year this year.
He did have a good year, but obviously he's getting older. That would be a nice piece to kind of build a team around, though. But so would Voracek. And I think if Voracek's available, you take him. He's a great NHLer. He's proven to be, 20-plus goal scorer every year. So
yeah, and like 50-plus assists.
Exactly. He's a beast. He would look great on the line with Kerfoot. But it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, because I don't think Voracek wants to be in Philadelphia anymore. That can be the only reason that he would waive this. He's had those back and forths with reporters for years now. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, because Voracek is he's a staple on that Philadelphia team. But if they lose him, they do free up a lot of cap space. I'm not quite sure what he's making, but
8.25.
That's a lot of cap space for Philadelphia to bring in a decent backup goaltender for Carter Hart.
It is. Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're hearing these rumors. We're hearing what's happening in Calgary in the expansion draft. So is it wrong for me to say, why are these GMs making it so easy for Seattle to be good? Because before you get into it, let me just finish. If I'm a GM every summer, my objective is to win the Stanley Cup or do something and make me be close to Stanley Cup. If that means going to a rebuild, then that gets me close to Stanley Cup because I'm acquiring good young players. If that means trading a first, the goal is to win a Stanley Cup. But on an expansion summer, isn't it win the Stanley Cup 1 and make sure Seattle's as bad as possible plan 2? If I'm all 31 GMs, I'm getting together and we can say, okay, I'll trade you Victor Arvidsson. Okay, I'll trade you Kerfoot. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. And you don't leave until Seattle sucks. Is that not the game plan?
So kind of like what LA and Nashville did you're talking about.
Exactly. Those deals. So I'm just getting so upset that you have teams like Philly and Calgary who's like, oh, yeah, we're going to leave Voracek an all-star. I think he's a premier all-star. I think that's fair to say. If he's in an all-star game, I'm not looking why he's there. He's an all-star player. So why is a Voracek an all-star player? Giordano, who won the Norris 2 years ago, and he's definitely not that anymore. But I would say maybe an all-star player still. Why are we just giving Seattle these guys when we could literally just trade them someone else for a pick? Why are we making Seattle be good? I don't understand this GM logic.
That's a loaded question, Matt. I'm sure we'll touch on this on our expansion show, which I think we'll have to do soon, I guess. But I don't know. Seattle's going to be decent. They have a lot to pick from. As to why other teams are the NHL is depth with talent. You're going to get a good Seattle's going to pick up some good people no matter what. Vegas did too. They
should have learned from Vegas. No,
the other NHL GMs should have learned from Vegas, and I don't think they have.
Exactly.
The GM of the Kraken, Ron Francis, he's not a dumbass either. He knows what he's doing. I got that right. It is Ron Francis.
Yep, it is Ron Francis.
For some reason it didn't think it was. I don't know why. But he's not a dummy either. It's going to be weird to see these teams that make deals in the next I think when does the no trade kick in? Is it the 17th or the 18th?
I'm not sure, but it is in the coming days.
It's in the next coming days. There's going to be a lot of movement soon. We're going to be very busy looking at these NHL moves, because teams either have to start protecting themselves or they're going to be exposed. I don't want to hit the cliche there, but teams got to protect their guys and people that they want to keep, because Seattle's coming in and they're going to release the Kraken and steal your player. It's going to be crazy to see. I'm actually really excited to see who they take. As for why teams are letting them do this, they don't really have a choice. If you're let's pick a random team.
Toronto.
Sure. Who are you protecting? You're protecting Hall? You're protecting Kerfoot? Or you're protecting Dermott?
But in my opinion, if they get one of those three players, that's not groundbreaking. Like there's a lot of players like that in the league.
No. It's not groundbreaking, but are all three of those a decent NHL player who can play 82 games?
Yeah, I would say.
They got an NHL player. So why are these teams not working? I know you said work together, but like NHL teams shouldn't really work together either to make sure Seattle gets a bunch of AHL. You know what I mean?
No, they should. That's what they should be doing.
But they're not doing it. So like you're gonna end up with a Dermott, Kerfoot, or Hall, which you got two top.
But I think that's so
line center.
I don't think those players are that good, as you mentioned. But anyways, those three players are a lot different than a Voracek and Giordano. Like that's what I'm saying. Toronto's doing it fine.
But
like if I'm Toronto, I don't care.
It changes team per team, right? Like obviously Voracek waived because that indicates he doesn't want to be in Philadelphia. Giordano's being exposed because he's older and Calgary wants to go in a younger way. Let's look over to just pick another team, like
Nashville.
Let's go over to Nashville. They're gonna want to shut off cap, so they're gonna expose
Johansson, Duchesne. Probably.
Exactly.
But those players.
So like if Seattle grabs Duchesne, but that's not a bad grab. Like Duchesne's gonna be like, okay, I'm like exactly the same mindset Vegas did. It's happening over again. We've seen this happen 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I just wanted to see a bigger effort on the GMs. But speaking of GMs who don't have a lot of effort, let's talk about Brad True living in Calgary. He's been there since 2013. And for some unknown reason, I heard it was reported that in Friedman's 31 Thoughts that they're working on an extension with Johnny Hockey. And Giordano's out the door. It seems like he might go to Seattle. Johnny Gaudreau's extended. And there have been Matthew Tkachuk trade rumors. So I'll just ask you straight up, what is wrong with Calgary? And am I wrong for saying they should build around Tkachuk and trade everybody else? Or like, what would you be doing if you're the GM right now?
So I've long stood by the stance that there's two teams on Calgary. There's
the
side that falls on the Tkachuk side, and there's people that fall on Monahan and Gaudreau. Because I kind of feel like that's where the team's split. I would build my team around Matthew because he's everything you want in an NHL player, man. Like he's gritty, he's skilled, he scores goals, he scraps it up in the corners, he'll defend his teammates. And then you got Monahan and Gaudreau who just kind of show up when they feel like it. Like I feel like if you sign Gaudreau, and I don't know when Monahan's up, and if you re-sign Monahan, like Tkachuk's gonna want out the door. Like we kind of saw it this year. That team's imploding from the inside. It's not the best look for the team but if you extend all three, you're just running back what you did this year.
And to be mediocre, yeah.
And that wasn't the best. Like you're gonna be mediocre. Maybe you sneak into the playoffs, maybe you win a round, but you're not winning a cup with that team. I think you've got to kind of pick what you run with, and that's not up to us, that's up to the GM. But are you going with Gaudreau and Monahan, or are you going with Matt Tkachuk? I would go with Tkachuk. I would love him. Like if he wants to trade out, honestly, you go to Brad Living and you say, who do you want? Because you need that player on your team. He's a fantastic NHL player. I think he's a top 10 NHL player for sure.
Yeah, and he only makes $7 million. He has an extension after this upcoming season, but like I think that's still like if you get that value at not a double-digit number, exactly. Like even if he makes 9.5 for the next 8 years, I think he brings so much to your hockey team. But
sorry to cut you off, Matt, but like it's not even the goals that he scores; it's the emotion he brings to a game while actually also making an impact on the game. Like I think we can both agree. Let's say he came to the Leafs, like Wayne Simmons, like he can mix it up in the corner, but he's not making an impact on the game. Matt Tkachuk can actually make an impact on the game.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I just think if I'm Calgary, I like. Just to be a fan or an owner or a GM or a coach, I don't care who you are, just someone in that organization or in that field of hockey. Like, I'm sick and tired of seeing Johnny Gaudreau play hockey. Yeah. Like, I know it sounds bad, but we've been doing this since 2014 with Gaudreau and Monahan. Like, I think you gotta change them up. You gotta do a retool. Like, even like as much as we make fun of Montreal, like this is your time to trade your Patch Ready, aka Gaudreau, for your next Nick Suzuki. And you have Suzuki and Tkachuk. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to start making moves like that. And I just think if you're Calgary and you run it back, it's like at a certain point, it's insanity. You're doing the same thing over again, expecting a different result. And like even in Toronto, like relative to Calgary, Toronto's only failed like maybe 2 years in a row, maybe 3, whatever you want to call it. Even if you want to say 4, right. Calgary's done it for 7 or 8. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think it's a lot more frustrating. And if I'm traveling, I would fire him so quick. Like his whole thing was, all we need is a goalie, and then we could win a cup. All we need is a goalie. You heard that for years. All we need is a goalie. They got Markstrom, who played amazing this year, and then you missed the playoffs in a shitty division. So you were wrong, first of all, and you're gone. And you've hired 4 or 5 coaches already since 2013. Get the fuck out of here. So I think we could just move on to that. Speaking of the word fuck, Conor McGregor uses that a lot. And he got
So are we just skipping over the Sens news?
It was the Sens news. Oh, okay. We actually, speaking of fuck, it's the word still applies here. Pierre Maguire got hired by the Ottawa Senators. It's a good position, like isn't it assistant to the GM or director of player scouting? Like it's important.
Vice president of player development.
That's literally the one job you don't want that guy in, bro.
I know. Like he says he hates analytics, and I think that's the one thing you have to embrace when doing player development, no?
Yeah, it's pretty important, especially kids nowadays. Like you see like Austin Matthews or just like Trevor Zegras or young guys coming into the league. It's so much about skating, stick handling, and shooting. And that comes through analytics and video breakdown. So if you don't have the patience to do that, like Pierre Maguire does, I don't know how you're going to be teaching a kid how to change his stride or shooting. And Josh, you work in player development. I think you could talk more about how important that is for a young hockey player.
Yeah, I don't know how, like, we use analytics at the rink with tracking guys, but I don't know how.
Well, just video work even. Like, it doesn't have to be that deep.
Yeah, like we record players in, like, if this guy, like, that's analytics, recording a player in slow motion and be like, this is the angle of your stick or whatever. But this was a strange hiring to me, and, like, the Sens tweeted it out at 7 a.m., which makes me feel they didn't feel very confident behind the hiring. Pierre Dorian said he was going to report directly to him. Like, Pierre Dorian might be sick of this guy in 5 days because he'd be like, oh, this guy was raised in, like Moose Jaw, and he played for this guy, and he was born at this hospital. Like, okay, but tell me, like, is he a good hockey player?
Well, it's not even being an announcer. Every hockey experience he's done has failed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got plenty of shots throughout the 90s and early 2000s stuff.
He hasn't had a job in the hockey industry for 30 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, why are you bringing in this guy?
I just think honestly, I think this is Eugene Melnick saying, just hire more people. And he was probably the cheapest hire. I know that sounds bad, but I think it's like some shenanigans with branding, marketing, owner, that type of stuff. But, like, to be honest, if I'm a young kid and Pierre Maguire is telling me what to do, I'm telling him to fuck off. And I'm 19. Like, I know 19-year-olds who are about to make the NHL are probably going to listen to everybody, but, like, I think this generation of me, you, like, born 1997 and below, like, you have so many trainers and skills guys and people in your ear. We made fun of the camp on the last podcast, like, oh, your yoga instructor could be in your camp, or this guy, but, like, it's reality. Like, everyone I know who plays sports at a high level has multiple trainers. You have a stick handling coach, you have this guy. And why would I listen to Pierre Maguire over literally, like, I hate to bash it because it's not personal. Like, it is profession specific.
It's the truth. Yeah. He's not qualified for this job.
Well, he might be qualified. He's not a good person to hire. I think there's a difference. He's
not qualified, man. He hasn't had a job in the NHL in 30 years.
Yeah, well, Gretzky hasn't had a job in, like, 15. I would still hire Gretzky to be a skills coach.
I would not.
Okay, so that's funny. Anyway, okay, you want to move on to McGregor and then talk about the Leafs, and we can wrap up?
Why don't we do Leafs and McGregor? Because the McGregor one's funnier. Let's finish on a funny note.
Okay, yeah. So we're going with Toronto Maple Leafs. So basically, they did extend German. We talked about in the last pod, but it's been coming out. There's been a lot of crazy stuff that we even forgot to talk about last. Apparently, they're interested in Tyler Bertuzzi. They are interested in signing Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're gonna expose Justin Hull now. I've seen blogs one second. Let me finish. 1 second. I've heard things that they're going to bring in Devin Dubnyk and Mike Smith to be Campbell's partner. I've seen that Robertson and Mirov are ready to play beside Matthews and Marner for a full year and the playoffs. So, Josh, I'll give you your 2 minutes just to talk about the state of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, let's go. I need you to help me here. So just start with one topic because all of them are.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't. Okay, we'll start from the bottom.
Well, I kind of want to do rapid fire. Then let's go just like.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Taylor Hall. Taylor
Hall. Okay, so the Leafs are interested in Taylor Hall. Okay, well, the Leafs are also interested in Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, and winning a Stanley Cup. That doesn't mean you're getting Taylor Hall. Having interest in a player is like, hey, would you want to come play here? Yeah, it's going to cost you $9 million. Okay, never mind.
You know what I actually think? Like, just talking to you, I saw a lot of stuff, and apparently people think he's going to get big money, but it's only going to be 4 or 5 years. So, for example, with the Joel Eriksson Ek extension or the Hopkins extension, as a Leaf fan, would you give him 5.5 or 6 mil, but for the full 7 years, taking him to when he's 37, 38? Because I think that's a way to get the cap down just by giving him the full 7 years.
You know what, Matt? I have not thought about that.
No, sorry. Yeah, just not to cut you off, but that was my thinking when I saw it. I'm like,
no, you know
that
what?
is so smart, in my opinion, if you get Hall that way.
That is not an awful deal because you can move that.
Especially, if you front load it, you play with the no moves. And
sorry, what number? You said 5.5?
5.5 to 6, but for 7 years, and you front load it, and you give him 5 years of protection with a no move and signing bonus. But the last 2 years, for an example, are 2 years, 5.5 cap hit, but an actual dollar is only $3 million. So you could buy it out, get rid of it pretty easily.
Do you think he would go for 4.5 over 7 with 90%?
No.
Hang on, let me finish. With 90% of his salary and signing bonuses in the first 3
Not
years?
4.5, because I think someone would offer him 7 or 8, and I think when you add up that money, he's leaving too much on the table. So I think it would have to be in the 5 or 6.
But he has said that he wants to sign somewhere to win because he's won his money.
No, but I'm saying somewhere that would pay him to win, like a Colorado or Boston, would pay him the 6 or 7, which is what I'm trying to say. But not for the 7 years.
I don't think he's re-signing with Boston because they said they're only going to offer him 2 or 3 years.
I read it was 3 or 4, but he wants 4. I think there's common ground. Like, you know what I mean? I think there's common ground. So that's Taylor Hall. There
is a way for the Leafs to get Taylor Hall, but people are just getting really excited about this. We're saying having interest in a player. Like, the Leafs also have interest in fucking Matt Tkachuk, but they're probably not going to get him.
I know what you're saying. Just moving on, because rapid fire, there's a lot of Leaf stuff to get to.
Next thing.
The backup goalie. How do you think of Mike Smith or Devin Dubnyk or maybe a Reimer, an old guy to kind of help Jake Campbell for his full 82 game of a starting job? What do you think back goalie, and what do you think about those names?
If the Leafs sign Mike Smith, fire me into the sun. Devin Dubnyk, I don't mind. I think James Reimer would be fun.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Okay, and the next thing, there's a lot of Leaf stuff.
Yeah.
Is the top 4 in the expansion that they want to protect Dermott but expose Hull. I hate that move. So go.
I also hate that move, but I like to embrace the other side of the argument, and I have seen that Dermott only turns 24 this year.
I don't give a shit. Dermott's not good.
Hang on, 24, 25 this year. But on the other side, there's an argument within the argument. An NHL player should be who they are when they're 23, 24. So he's entering his prime, and that is what you have. Justin Hall is turning 30 this year. He's a top 4 defenseman. I think we can both agree with that. Like, Justin Hall is a solid defenseman. He's reliable on the back end. Yeah, he's not going to score you goals.
And it only makes $2 million for the next 2 years. That's amazing.
Exactly.
The Leafs need that type of value, and Dermott has no value, no offense whatsoever.
But there was also a report today. There's so much going on. We're going on so many different arguments here that a team like Detroit is looking at a guy like Travis Dermott to trade for and then expose so they can protect their young guys. So you're maybe looking at like a Tyler Bertuzzi and a Travis Dermott deal. Obviously, there's more pieces added, but there's that as well. There's just so much going on here. But let's just take it back down to what we were talking about. You do not protect Travis Dermott over Justin Hall.
Okay, yep. Okay, so the next thing is that Amirov and Robertson can jump in the top 6 next year, or even play in the NHL for that matter, because they're being their teens. They're both under 6 feet, only probably 180, 190 at best. So do you think you put them in a position to succeed to play them in the NHL?
Robertson, maybe. Amirov, no. He's never touched NHL ice. If you're an idiot if you do that.
Okay, so
he hasn't even played AHL games, has he?
No, he's not.
You don't just be like, here you go. Here's Matthews and Marner. Go play with them.
And also a point.
Robertson could maybe do it because he's shown that he does have NHL potential. He unfortunately has had injuries. I would maybe start Robertson. I don't think he's a bottom 6 guy, man. Like
he needs a full year in the minors, I think.
No. I think you can. The Leafs kind of have to start him in the NHL next year just because of their cap situation.
I hate when people say that.
But I don't think he is a bottom 6 guy. He can't fill that role. I think he would look nice on the second line with Nylander and Tavares, though.
Yeah, I don't think you could do that either. But anyways, I just think if you're the Leafs and you're trying to win a cup because the time's ticking, just because Matthews only has 3 years left in his contract, Dubas will be on the hot seat this year.
Matthews is not going anywhere.
Okay, that's not my point. The point more was that you're in it trying to win for a cup. And to be completely honest, I don't think anyone could point to me towards a team that won a cup where an 18, 19-year-old was in their top 6. Like, I think that just does not happen. And I think you're putting yourself in position to succeed. The Leafs don't have time for development because they should be winning hockey games. No more Alex Galchenyuk, Travis Dormant trying to fix it projects. You don't have that. What you need to do is commit to actual good players with a solid track record. They can't be old like Jumbo or maybe past their prime like Simmons. Like, you need good guys. Like, you had Tampa, they had Yanni Gord, they had Platt, they had Goudreau, they had Cernak. They have so many guys to complement their top guys. And I think the Leafs, quite frankly, they've done a really poor job. The Foligno trade a first and 2/4 for what Foligno brought. And I know you can't blame that Dubas because he got hurt, but at the same time, it's not even that he got hurt. He could have got hurt and missed all of it if we went to the conference finals. I don't care. You lost in the first round, and a first rounder and 2/4. That's probably an NHL player is the first round pick. And one of the fourths, hopefully maybe like 80 games out of that guy. Pierre Engvall played 80 games for Christ's sakes. Like, you could start to develop with those picks. So I think I'm really interested to see how the Leafs build their bottom 6 because they have a lot of people unsigned and they also have about $13 million in cap space. And if Kerfoot gets claimed, obviously you have a hole on your left wing and third line center because Kerfoot's kind of been bouncing around there. So I think Dubas has a lot of work to do. I'm kind of interested to see what he does.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Leafs. I don't think we can, like, we're not going to know too much until after the expansion draft. I think all we can do is speculate till then.
Yeah, that's true. So also what happened on Saturday is I think Conor McGregor went back to reality. And I was watching it and I thought he was going to act like a normal person, but he was cussing him out on the floor with an ice pack on his ankle and Joe Rogan talking to him. So, Josh, I don't know if you saw that, but I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that whole fight was really weird, man. I thought it was a really disappointing ending to what should have been a fantastic fight. Because did you watch it?
I watched all of it, yeah.
The first round was really, really good, and then McGregor, breaks his leg. Like, he fucking folded like a lawn chair. So
he was losing though.
He was losing, but the UFC is weird, man. Like,
no, I think McGregor is one of those fighters where the more it goes the distance, the more he fatigues. He's even said that.
I told Brandon before. I said if this goes past the third round, he's done.
Exactly. Like, so I think Dustin came out swinging, man. I know, like, I just don't see where Conor's at in his career. And he has an injury, and I saw they were saying 6 months. McGregor says in 6 weeks he'll start doing light training. But even then, like, I don't think he's in his prime anymore. I think everyone said it. Michael Bisping said it. DC said it. A lot of UFC experts said it. So I think this is time for McGregor to pack it up, to be honest. I know that's a big blow to the sport, and I know they want to.
It's a massive blow to the sport.
I know they want to. Well, I think it is personality and marketing wise, but in terms of actual product that you're putting in the octagon, I don't think it really is. No offense to McGregor, but that's kind of the truth.
But people would still watch it. Because
I know, but
the way he hypes up a fight.
I know, but I'm talking about when you're actually in the octagon, how entertaining and how competitive something is. Like, I think if he fights Dustin again, Dustin's going to kick his ass.
Yeah, and that's probably his next fight because, like, he didn't lose the fight.
He was losing the fight, then he broke his leg.
But he didn't lose. Like, it was a doctor's decision. Like, he couldn't continue. It will go down in the books as he lost, but he wasn't knocked out. He didn't submit. The judges didn't decide. It's kind of a weird. It was kind of a weird ending to what.
It's unfortunate,
to what should have been a fantastic main event, and like, you can tell he cares about the sport by what he did afterwards because he was instantly promoting the next fight as soon as he was down, because he was saying like, "Oh, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. Your wife's in my DMs," which I thought was hilarious. Also, I know it's probably not true, but Poirier has to ask his wife about that, right?
No, it's not true. I saw the video McGregor put out, and then, like, I've seen this a lot. Like, people do it on TikTok all the time, how you fake it. And, like, the DM that he showed was pretty obviously fake. Like, it looked like a 9th grade girl did that, but I think it's just more funny banter. But, like, I don't know. I think that's pretty juvenile. I know I make fun of McGregor. I just think his disses are so weird.
Is that not the best McGregor? Like, when he was nice in the last fight, you're like, okay, this is bullshit. I want the guy who's fucking swearing, throwing water balls. I want the guy who was against Nick Diaz. I want Nate Diaz. I want the guy who's against Khabib. I want the guy who was against McGregor. I don't want the guy who fought Cowboy and Poirier in the second fight. I don't want that guy. I want the guy who's like cursing and swearing and saying he's gonna like behead the guy. Like, that's what I want in the UFC because that makes me want to watch the fight.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all about promotion. That's all it is. And that's why Dana White is the face of the UFC, because he's the king of promotion.
No, but that's why I hate it. Like, just to be honest with you, because it's all about promotion and what happens in the ring. People don't even like no one talks about that. They just talk about the stupid build-up things that have nothing to do with the sport at hand. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay, but did you watch UFC 200?
Yeah, I did.
The one where Brock Lesnar rushed the ring?
Yeah, but
that was sick.
I know, but that's different in my opinion, because Brock Lesnar is more of I expect him to be an entertainer. You know what I mean?
He went in there against the champion and the number one contender, and then his next fight was against Mark Hunt.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I think my point's not coming across in the words that I'm saying. But anyways, my point more was I would like to see other people fighting, and I think McGregor needs to take a minute. Like, I think that's kind of just the truth. I think he even thinks that deep down. Like, it's interesting to see what his next move is, I guess.
My question for you is, does he actually fight one of the Paul brothers?
No, I don't think so. I think just talking about that whole stuff, like I was talking to somebody.
He would kick their ass, right?
In boxing or UFC?
Either.
I hope to God he would. But yeah, I'll give Connor the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, I just think I was talking to my friend and he's very into this, not YouTube TikToks, but he knows that world, entertainment. And basically what he was saying is just everything that's happening with the YouTube market, whatever, you don't make as much money as you once used to by just uploading YouTube videos and doing all that stuff. And people get bored of your content. So what he's saying is all these people are doing weird stuff to make money. Like I saw Logan Paul as a podcast. They're boxing. People have OnlyFans, which, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's no actual talent in the YouTube industry anymore. Like, obviously, like e-games and stuff there is, but just strictly like a vlog or something. Like, you're not making as much money. So, like, yeah, I think everyone's just trying to do a new branding thing in marketing. And I think a lot of people want to be the male or female version of the Kardashians. And I think it's very unhealthy. I know I sound like a square just saying that, but I just think
I agree with you.
It's true. Like, I think it's getting to a point where, like, I think people need to relax because not everything's about money. Like I saw someone on the Logan Paul, because I saw a clip on Twitter. I don't follow these people, obviously, and she was bragging that she has a Ferrari. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. And she turned out she was a porn star. And I'm just like, okay, like take the good with the bad a little. Like, like I don't think I would do that just so I get a Ferrari. But like, I think we're different. Maybe the way we're raised, like material objects don't matter that much. Yeah. But I think a lot of people are doing fucked up shit just to get a bag.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think you and I have similar goals, and we wouldn't.
Well, it's not goals, it's values, Like,
yeah, we have similar goals, similar values. Like, we both want this to go far, but I don't think we would,
fight each other in bikinis to make this go viral or something,
Well, yeah, you never know. I would do that.
Yeah, I think we have to end it off. That was funny.
You got any match debates? I got a couple minutes.
I don't got any, bro. I'm sorry. You know what? We'll just keep talking. So
yeah, just throw questions at me. I'm feeling it.
Okay, I'll throw random questions. So the Euro Cup did a really good job. You see the NBA having their Olympics. So will hockey go to the Olympics? Because there's been very conflicting reports.
Yeah. So looking at it on paper, like with the facts, no, they will not go to the Olympics because the NHL has scheduled an All-Star game for the upcoming season in Vegas. And I think that's kind of to attract NHL players to it because NHL players use it as a party weekend. So if you party in fucking Minnesota, like the people aren't going to go to that. But if you have the NHL All-Star game in Vegas, maybe you even get players show up who weren't invited to the All-Star game, which I think is the play. Because and then correct me if I'm wrong, but NBA players who weren't invited to the All-Star game still show up to the All-Star game, right?
Yeah, they do for endorsements, marketing, that type of stuff. So yeah. It's a big event. Like Michael Jordan has to go every year.
So I think that's what the NHL is trying to do with making it in Vegas because that's the party capital of the world. They did it was the last one in Florida?
Dude, because of Corona, I don't even know when the last one was.
Yeah, I don't.
Nashville. It was Nashville. I think it was in Nashville.
Yeah, it was Nashville. So that's a party city. That kind of worked. You're right. It was Nashville. No, or was it St. Louis?
It was St. Louis, and Nashville was the year before. Yeah.
St. Louis. Yeah. So St. Louis, that didn't work. Nashville kind of worked. I think Vegas is the play for the NHL with this. As for the Olympics, that's a tough one, man, because it looks like the players are going to have to pay their own way because the IOC does not want to pay the insurance and the boarding fee.
Dude, I saw how much money it was. And obviously for billionaires, it's not that much money, but for individual players, it was 11 million. Not for individual, but everybody, it's cost 11 million to send them over. You
Oh,
know,
not per player.
not per player. Sorry, I messed up.
Okay.
Like all of them, it's 11 million. I'm just like, I kind of find it hard to believe that with what the NHL gets paid, they're all going to chip in to make it 11 million. Like, I don't think they care that much. Like, that would be 6 figures per guy. Like, I think they would rather leave that in a savings account.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's kind of disappointing that I hate the whole hating the billionaires thing that our generation does all the time. But I think just if there's 32 owners and they're all billionaires, I think raising $11 million divided by 32, I'll do that really quick. That should seem pretty easy. So I think the owner should pay for it. But like I said, I don't really know the economy and the logistics behind it. But yeah, it's weird. Yeah. So for the owners, if they split the 11 million, that would be $343,000. And if I'm a billionaire, 350K for my players to go Olympics is not that much money. But I don't know. Bettman did not seem enthused at all. So I don't think they're going to go to the Olympics personally. And it does suck for the sport. But yeah, I think if there wasn't a pandemic, they would go, because a lot of the insurance, and they're asking players to sign waivers like, oh, if you get COVID and you're in the hospital, it's not the employer's fault. And just like, hey, like, that's for COVID, but like, what if I get hurt? Or what if I get another disease? Or what if anything?
It was John Tavares, right, who broke his leg at the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's tough because these players want to represent their country, but the owners don't want them to. It's really, and you don't see this with any other sport. Like,
no, I think it's just a business thing. I don't want to say the owners don't want them to be there. I think it's more just like, okay, we're literally going to ruin a whole year of income by doing this.
You're more in connect with this. What's the NBA teams looking like?
Yeah. Well, it's different because it's in the summer, so you just go. Like, like you're not on company time.
It's in the off season. But so like, let's say, knock on wood, LeBron James tears his ACL.
Well, to be completely honest with you, a LeBron James type of player probably doesn't go to the Olympics. Like, I know Kevin Durant's there, but that's because he only got out in the second round. David Lillard the first round, same Jason Tatum. So that scenario doesn't really happen, just because in terms of if you're making a deep playoff run, you're on a really good team. Like Steph Curry wants to go to the finals, that's why he didn't go. So basketball protects it more that way and moistens the young guys. But I think hockey's so different because every single top player is there. But in basketball, you just kind of pick and choose. Like, NBA lost to Nigeria a few nights ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't take it seriously at all.
So what happened with that?
They honestly just lost. Like, you wouldn't know by watching the highlights. I urge everyone to watch it. They honestly just lost. Like, like, it sounds bad, but like their body language wasn't like they were trying. Like, they just showed up and lost. Like, it wasn't like a big controversy. They actually just lost the basketball game.
Wow. That's interesting, man. Like,
I know. But talking about the Olympics, Josh, the Summer Olympics are starting, I think, this weekend. Anyways, they're starting soon.
It's July 23rd. Let me look up the exact 23rd. Date while you
you look up the date. My question is what do you want to watch the most? I kind of alluded it earlier. I love the gymnastics because it's something I can't do. So the gymnastics is fun.
23rd.
Rugby's fun. Track and field obviously is really good, but like there's some controversy over there we don't need to talk about. Yeah. So Josh, what are you most likely to watch, and what do you want to watch? I think those are two different questions.
The 100-meter sprint's always fun. Canadian might win it this year. What else do I like to watch? I mean, the golf's going to be good this year just for Canadian content with the two guys they sent with Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes. That's going to be entertaining as hell. And also, like, there's kind of a dark story behind the people that South Korea sent because you want to hear this or do you want me to exclude it?
I think you should exclude it. Like, yeah.
No, I got to tell it. So every male in South Korea has to serve 2 years in the army. Between the ages of, I think it's like 20 to 38 or something. I don't quote me on that one, but and there's one way to be excluded from that, and that's if you win an Olympic medal. So these guys are looking to win an Olympic medal so they don't have to serve in the army, and so they can keep playing on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, that's every country's different, and kind of how lucky we are that, like, you see, we don't have to get into that, but yeah.
Yeah. No, the 100-meter sprint, like the whole Olympics is fun, man, because there's always like stories that are written in. Like you always get an underdog in the gold medal game, or someone who's running in the 100-meter race that shouldn't be there. It's like the whole experience is fun, and obviously with it being in Japan and like no spectators, it's going to be different this year. The time zone's going to be different, so we'll probably be watching replays when we wake up. But the Olympics are always fun. Like, I don't put too much stock into it. I prefer the Winter Olympics just because of the hockey, and like the other sports are kind of like more fast paced and more fun. But I'll watch. It's always good to see. I like watching the diving just because the commentators are so.
That is fun. That is really fun.
Just because the commentators like, oh, it's too big of a splash. It's like, well, he barely splashed.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a perfect to end on. Too big of a splash by Josh Egan on the Orient Sportscast. We'll be back later this week, maybe earlier than expected. So just keep shout out, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media platforms. That'll be in the bio. And goodbye.
I'm sad about England.